Every single month, your boss offers to hand you cash, and most people turn it down without ever realizing they said a word. That number on the screen, $305,000, isn't an inheritance or lucky stock pick. It's the size of the pile one regular worker walks away from over a career, $250 at a time, by leaving one box on a form untouched. By the end of this video, you'll know the exact line on your own pay stub that tells you in 5 seconds whether you're already saying no. You'll watch a small monthly number turn into 6 figures with math you can check yourself on a phone calculator. And near the end, the part that catches people off guard, the workers who can least afford to lose this money are the ones losing the most of it. So let's start with the free money itself, because the name people give it makes it sound dull, and that dullness is the whole reason it gets ignored. It's called the employer 401k match. Half the country hears 401k and tunes out, picturing some locked box they can't touch until they're gray. Set all of that aside for a minute. Strip it down to what's actually happening on payday, because that's where the deal lives. Meet Daniel. He's 32, earns $60,000 a year, drives a paid-off Corolla, nothing fancy. His company offers a match. For every dollar Daniel puts into his retirement account, the company puts in a dollar too, up to 5% of his pay. 5% of $60,000 is $3,000 a year. Spread that across his paychecks, and it comes to $250 a month. Here's what that means in plain terms. If Daniel sets aside $250 from his own check, his employer drops another $250 right next to it. Same day, same account. His money doubles the second it lands. There's no stock to pick. There's no risk to ride out. There's no waiting for the market to do anything at all. He put in $250, he walks away with $500, and the extra $250 came from the company for nothing. Stop and feel how strange that is. If a coworker offered to double any cash you handed him on the spot, every payday, guaranteed, you'd empty your pockets. You'd take a loan to do it. Yet when the exact same offer shows up wearing a benefits portal login and the word retirement, people scroll right past it. Now watch how the no actually happens, because almost nobody sits down and decides to refuse this on purpose. When Daniel started the job, the company signed him up automatically at 3%. That's the default they set for everybody. He glanced at the number once during onboarding, figured the system probably knew best, and never touched it again. So Daniel puts in 3% and gets matched on 3%. The other 2% of free money, the part his employer would happily hand him the moment he asked, sits there untouched every paycheck. That's $100 a month he's turning down, and he never feels the loss because the form filled itself out and he moved on with his life. Some people skip even more than that. Take Maria, who works 2 desks down from Daniel for the same company. Money's tight, the paycheck's already spoken for before it arrives, so when the 401k enrollment screen popped up, she opted out altogether and took the full check now. It felt responsible in the moment. She kept every dollar she earned and skipped the savings she figured she'd start next year. What she actually did was walk up to her boss and say, "Keep the bonus, I don't want it." She just said it through a checkbox instead of out loud. The same $3,000 a year in free money the company would have handed Daniel for participating, Maria turned down completely, and her paychecks look identical to his on the surface. The gap between them only shows up 30 years later, and by then it's hundreds of thousands of dollars wide. Let me put the size of this deal in context, because double your money gets thrown around so much it stops landing. Over the long run, the U.S. stock market has returned around 7% a year after inflation. That's the engine most retirement money runs on, and 7% is a genuinely good number. People build entire careers of investing around it. The match pays you 100% the day it hits your account. You would have to leave your money sitting in the market for roughly 10 years to earn what the match hands you in a single pay period. There is no other corner of your financial life where someone pays you to double your money with zero risk and zero waiting. The match is the only one, and people leave it on the table because it showed up as paperwork. So let's prove that thumbnail number now, because I don't want you taking $305,000 on faith. We're going to look at only the employer's half. Forget Daniel's own contribution for the moment. We're tracking the free money by itself, the $250 a month he never earned, sitting in a plain, low-cost index fund inside his 401k, growing at that same historical 7% a year. $250 a month, every month for 30 years. Add up the deposits, and that's $90,000 of pure employer money over the 3 decades, and not one penny of it came out of Daniel's wallet. Now let it compound. At 7% a year, that stream of free deposits grows to about $305,000. Run it yourself if you want. $250 a month, 7%, 30 years. Any compound interest calculator will spit it out. The free money alone, the half Daniel didn't lift a finger to earn, becomes $300 grand.
And keep in mind, that's only the company's side of the deal. Daniel's own $250 a month is sitting right beside it the whole time, growing in the exact same fund, which pushes his total past $600,000. But I wanted the number on the thumbnail to be clean and honest, so I built it from the free money standing on its own, with none of Daniel's paycheck included. $305,000 out of a box on a form he could have checked during a lunch break. Before I show you the second place this free money likes to hide, there's one line on your own pay stub that settles this entire question in about 5 seconds. I'll point right to it in a minute. First, the excuse almost everyone reaches for the second they hear "put in 5%. I can't afford that. I hear it and I want to turn it around because the match quietly changes what the word afford even means here. When you skip a $250 match to keep $250 in your checking account, you didn't save money. You turned down a guaranteed $250 and held on to what you already had. Those aren't the same thing. If your boss walked over to your desk and held out a check for $250, no strings, you'd take it before he finished the sentence. Skipping the match is tearing up that check. The only difference is a delay long enough that you never hear the paper rip. And grabbing it costs less than the sticker price. With a traditional 401k, your contribution comes out before taxes, which lowers the income you actually get taxed on. For somebody in the 12 or 22% bracket, putting in $250 only shrinks your take-home pay by something closer to $200, because the rest is tax you would have paid anyway. So you're out about $200, your employer still drops in the full $250, and the whole $500 goes to work for you for the next 30 years. Go find another deal anywhere on earth where spending $200 turns into $500 the same afternoon. The lottery doesn't pay those odds. No investment your broker can sell you pays those odds. The only place that math exists is the match, and it's offered to roughly 7 out of 10 American workers right now. One honest catch, because I'm not going to sell you a fairy tale. Some companies make you stay a few years before the match money is fully yours to keep. That's called vesting, and your schedule is written in your plan summary. If you already know you're leaving in 6 months, factor that in. But for most people who plan to stick around a while, the match vests over time and is worth grabbing from your very first eligible paycheck. Now that pay stub line I promised. Pull up your most recent stub or log into your retirement plan portal right now if you can. Find 2 things. First, the percentage you're currently contributing. Second, the match formula, which is spelled out in your plan summary document. Put them side by side. If your contribution rate is lower than the cap your employer matches to, say you're sitting at 3% while they'd match you all the way to 5%, then you are leaving money on the table with every single check that hits your account. The fix is a single number. Raise your contribution to at least the match cap. That one change is the highest guaranteed return anywhere in personal finance, and it takes about 3 minutes to make from your couch. There's a second spot worth a glance while you're already logged in. If your job has you on a high-deductible health plan with a health savings account attached, a lot of employers quietly drop money into that account too, sometimes $500 to $1,500 a year, whether or not you contribute a dime yourself. Same free money, different drawer. And that account has a rare trick most people never use. Money goes in tax-free, grows tax-free, and comes out tax-free when you spend it on medical costs. It's the only account in the entire tax code that pulls off all three. Most people leave that employer contribution sitting there the same reason they skipped the 401k match. Nobody ever told them to go look. Now, here's the number I promised would be uncomfortable, and it's coming up right now because it shows who's actually losing this money. Stay with me for a second, because it's almost certainly not who you'd picture. The financial firm Investment Engines pulled the records of 4.4 million American workers and ran the numbers. 1 in 4 of them, 25%, weren't putting in enough to grab their full employer match. The typical person missing out was leaving about $1,336 on the table every single year. That doesn't sound like a fortune until you run it the way we ran Daniel's number. $1,300 a year, growing at 7% for 20 years, turns into more than $57,000. For 30 years, it clears $130,000. That's a missing decade of retirement, gone, from an amount most people would call too small to bother with. Add it up across the whole country, and it lands near $24 billion in free money turned down annually. Billion with a B. Every year, money that's already budgeted, already offered, already sitting there with people's names on it, goes back unclaimed. And here's the part that should sting. The people most likely to skip the match are the ones earning under $40,000 a year, where 42% miss the full amount. Among people earning over $100,000, only 10% miss it. So the free money flows right past the workers who need it the most and lands in nobody's pocket at all. It doesn't even get redistributed. It evaporates. And younger workers under 30 skip the match at twice the rate of workers over 60, which means the people with the most years left for that money to compound are the exact ones throwing away the most of it.
Sit with that combination for a second. The folks stretched the thinnest, the ones who would feel an extra $1,000 more than anyone, are the ones most often handing it back. Not because somebody tricked them, not because of some fine print trap, because the offer arrived looking like paperwork, and paperwork is the easiest thing in the world to ignore when rent is due Friday. That's the part that should bother you, in a way you can use. Nobody is hiding this from you. Your employer wants you to take the match. They built it on purpose to attract people and keep them from leaving, and they already set aside the money in their budget whether you claim it or not. The only thing standing between you and that money is a contribution rate you picked one time, maybe by accident during a rushed onboarding, and never looked at again since. So let's close the loop on Daniel. Tonight he logs into his plan portal, finds his contribution still parked at 3% where it sat for years, and moves it to 5. 3 minutes, start to finish, done before his coffee gets cold. His next paycheck shrinks by about $50. In exchange, his employer's deposit jumps up to fill the gap he'd been leaving open this whole time, and that free money, now $250 a month instead of $150, rides 30 years of compounding straight into roughly $305,000, the exact figure you saw in the thumbnail. Proven, not guessed, not rounded up to scare you. He didn't earn a raise, he didn't pick a winning stock, he didn't time a single thing. He just stopped saying no. You can make that same move tonight, and it's the rare financial decision that's both the easiest one and the most valuable one you'll make all year. Most money advice asks you to give something up, cut the lattes, cancel the subscriptions, drive the older car. This one asks the opposite. It asks you to stop refusing something you're already being handed every 2 weeks. There's no discipline required, no budget to white-knuckle, no spreadsheet to maintain. You change one number, one time, and then you go back to your life while the free money quietly stacks up for the next 3 decades without you touching it again. So here's my question for the comments. And be straight with me, no looking it up first. Do you actually know your own match formula right now, off the top of your head? The exact percentage your employer matches to? Most people have no idea, and that not knowing multiplied across millions of paychecks is the whole reason $24 billion walks back out the door every year. If this is the first time anyone's shown you the actual math on the match, subscribe. One money move every week, the kind nobody ever hands you the rule book for.